What's cracking there, buddy? Welcome back to the channel. New video. Today I want to tell you guys a story about a guy I did a lot of time with. He was from San Diego, and I met him in YA, in the California Youth Authority, when we were kids. And he was on a different unit from me initially, right? But everybody in the institution knew who he was. And the reason why we knew who he was is because of his haircut. He had a mullet. He had the achy breaky heart haircut, right? It was going back on the top, and in the back it was longer, right? A little shag, or whatever you want to call it, mullet. That wasn't acceptable for Southerners. And he was jumped constantly. His locker would get broken into constantly. He would fight, get his stuff back constantly. He always had problems. And then he wound up coming to my unit. And I happened to be running that dorm. And when he got there and I got to meet him, I asked him, I said, hey, all these problems you've had for years here, how come you never cut your hair, Holmes? Just, you fought enough to where people would know, like, he didn't punk out, but how come you never cut your hair? And he said, the reason why I don't cut my hair is because I ain't fake, Holmes. He said, see, more than half of these vatos in here with their shaved ass heads, when they were on the streets, they had the same haircut. But they come in here and they want to fit in. He said, fuck that. I'll get down with anybody over this. The dude was a trip, man. Good dude. So we wind up going to YTS. They kicked us out the same time. We were on the same bus when we got kicked out of Paso Robles, Paso. We wound up being Sally's and YTS. We wound up going to the same unit from orientation. We were Sally's in orientation. Then we wound up going to Y and Z. And he went to the Z side. No, excuse me. We were both on the Z side. But he was on the other tier, separated from me. Almost started a whole war between the raza, all the different area codes. We're going to go to war over somebody slamming the door. And the dude always found his way into some trouble, right? But like I said, he was a good dude. He was a friend of mine, right? Still consider him a friend to this day. But I get out. He does a little bit more time and he gets out. And then years later, we wind up being Sally's in Adseg in New Folsom. Seeing him again. He had long hair. Still had never gave that up. It was a thing with him, right? And he told me, he said, all that shit I went through in YA, having to always get down with people. He said, I never forgot everybody I got down with. He goes, I used to hope I would run into him. And I told him the majority of the issues you had were dudes from LA. You're from San Diego. Like, how are you going to run into him? And he goes, they were on my mind all the time. He goes, I used to go to bars and I would get drunk and I would fight. I would fight everybody in the bars all the time. Couldn't let it go. And I actually have a few tattoos on me from him, from YA. One of them right here. A whole bunch of damn scars. Stuff we did as kids. But I want to tell you a story about him. And how treacherous the CDC is. I just did a video yesterday talking about, 2 days ago, talking about how treacherous the CDC is, how evil they can be, the games they can play, right? This homie from San Diego, he was on B facility in New Folsom. And he had been drinking one day. Now, whenever I had some authority, I always made it clear. If you're going to be drinking, if you're going to be doing any type of partying, don't come out of your cell. That means yard's mandatory. You drink after you come back, and if you have a phone call that night, you forfeited it. If you come out on that tier and you get into some stuff and we find out is you were drinking, that's your ass, right? Because you're going to drag people into your shit because you're drunk. So where he was at, apparently it was okay. He had been drinking and he came out of his cell and he saw the phone was open. And it wasn't his phone time. And in New Folsom, there's only one phone for the entire building. And this was back in the days before they changed to Global Tel, it was MCI back then. One phone call was going to be 20, 30, 40 bucks. It was ridiculous, right? So the homie gets on the phone and he's arguing with this old lady. And in that argument, one of the COs comes out of the office because the phone is on the wall, and then the cop's office and the counselor's office are right there on either side of the rotunda. So the CO comes out and he tells the homie, hey, get off the phone. And the homie looks at him, he's like, yeah, I'll get off in a minute, man. And he starts talking to his girl. And the cop walks over and just sticks his phone right in the receiver and hangs the phone up on the homie. He's drunk. He's in a bad mood, and he was arguing with his lady. The cop reached over and hung the phone up and told him, get off the phone and go take it to your cell. So the homie looks at him like, you just hung up on my wife? Okay. Hangs the phone up. He goes in the cell. Now, if there was going to be an issue, he should have took off right there on the spot. By him going in the cell, what happened was the CO told his partner, hey, I think this dude's drinking. I hung up on him. There might be an issue. Yard was going to be running soon. So the cop and his partner decide to let the rest of the cops know, hey, I just got into it with a Southerner. He might be drinking. There may be an issue when Yard's released. So when they released Yard, they made sure that officer, because as you're coming out for Yard release, whatever section you're in, you guys file out. You come out of the door to your section, and you go towards the yard door, right? The door to get in and out of the building. And there's going to be 2 rows of COs. And you're going to go stand before what everyone's not patting somebody down. And they're going to pat you down, and then you can step out onto the yard, right? Well, they made sure the officer that hung up on the homie was the very last officer, I believe, on the left-hand side. So that the homie would have to walk through all the cops in order to get to him. So the homie's coming out. He's strapped up. He has a knife on him. He knows what he's going to do. His mind's made up. You don't disrespect him like that. As he was coming out of the cell, going towards the yard door, he gets jacked up by the cops. Hey, hold on, man. We want to pat you down right here. And he's like, nah, I'll get patted down out there. So he gets into a little verbal altercation with one of the cops while he's on his way out to the yard, right? To try to get to the cop that hung up on him. During that interaction, the homie pulls out his piece and he stabs the cop. the one that got in his way. He starts stabbing him. The cops all rush him. They beat him down. And, he hit a cop. He did his job, but he got the wrong cop. And when I say he got the wrong cop, he really got the wrong cop. See, years before that, there was a huge riot. 1996. I believe it was around September of 96. Beef facility, New Folsom. That riot was bigger and worse than the Pelican Bay riot in 2000, but there's no cameras on the yard at the time in New Folsom. That's why nobody's ever seen it. In that riot, they killed a friend of mine, Shanky from Villa Boys Pasa. They shot him in the ass as he was getting down. He was proning out. It hit him in his left butt cheek, hit the hip bone, and went all through his torso, his chest, and it exploded his aorta. He didn't know. The cops didn't know. Nobody knew. And he bled out before he even got to the hospital. Before he even left beef facility, he was already dead. 21 years old. And the officer that killed him, the officer that shot him, the homie that went to stab the cop for hanging up on him, he stabbed the cop that killed Shanks, that killed Shanky. What do you think the CDC did? Because the homie wasn't a lifer. He had a date. So he was charged with attempted murder on a correctional officer. And the case that they were building was that it was an orchestrated hit ordered by the legends in retaliation for that officer killing Shanky in 1996. The homie had no idea that that cop had did that. Most people didn't, especially the people that were there now at this time during this incident. I believe the sticking that he did happen in around 2000. 4 years, minimum 4 years after that cop had killed Shanky. And so they stuck him in the shoe, gave him a shoe term, sent him to Corcoran, and they'd bring him back every now and then to New Folsom, Ad Seg, back and forth. He'd go to a court hearing, then go back to Corcoran, come back to New Folsom. All the while catching more cases in Ad Seg, getting in more trouble. And it was all because he chose to drink. Hopefully you understand that. Because I know a lot of people are thinking, fuck that cop. He should have never hung the phone up. If the homie wouldn't have been drinking, he would have known not to jump on that phone when it wasn't his phone time. And that cop would have never got the opportunity to hang up on him. And his partner would have never got stabbed because of his actions. This is why I always say, and this is why I stressed in yesterday's video, these stories may be fascinating, but pay attention to what the real message is. The cop did his job. You know, nobody behind those walls, nobody inside those yards wants to be viewed as a punk. When the cop told the homie to hang up, the lines were drawn. The homie, had he been sober, more than likely would have been like, hey, my bad, man. I just jumped on. I saw nobody's here. My bad. And would have hung up. And that cop possibly would have told him later, hey, man, you good? If you need a call, you could get back on, man. I just, I didn't respect you jumping on like that. Something like that may have happened, may not. But the homie wouldn't have had to do a bunch of extra time. He wouldn't have had to pick up all them extra cases. So when the homie tells him, man, I'm on the phone, I'll get off in a minute, that cop don't want to look like a punk, right? Other convicts see that, be like, oh man, this fool, soft ass motherfucker. When you need to get on the phone, wait till he's around. Just jump on. He ain't gonna do nothing about it. That's the thing in prison. Nobody wants to be looked at as a punk. Because once you are, there's no taking that back. That's my video for today, man. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Everybody, please be safe, be smart, and tell the ones you love that you love them, man. I'm out of here.